accomplishment, he's three division undisputed. Moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure.
This may be the last time we see our legend, the greatest fighter of this generation. I told y'all back then that Bud would beat Floyd Mayweather. Y'all didn't believe me.
Do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it. What for what? Terence Crawford, we know what you are.
Boxing experts explain why Terence Crawford is now considered the GOAT after his historic win over Canelo Alvarez, noting that his ability to rise through multiple weight classes and still dominate reflect a rare greatness that sets him apart from past champions. Robert Garcia supported this view, arguing that Crawford has accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather in this regard, emphasizing how Crawford convincingly won 9 to 10 rounds and displayed a relentless hunger that Canelo could not match. Garcia also pointed out that Mayweather never attempted such a challenge, which makes Crawford's triumph even more remarkable in boxing history.
He accomplished too much. Has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised at how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised because what I just told you. I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishment, he's three division undisputed. Moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, if he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes.
Greg Hackett strongly rejected the idea that Terence Crawford needs another big fight to prove his greatness, particularly when Turkey Alshik suggested a matchup with David Benavidez. Hackett argued that Crawford has already secured his place in boxing history by moving up in weight and convincingly defeating Canelo Alvarez, something few believe possible in such dominant fashion. For Hackett, the win was not just another victory, but a career-defining achievement that stamped Crawford's name among the sport's all-time greats. He emphasized that Crawford's leap from welterweight to super middleweight to conquer one of the most respected champions of this era was unprecedented. In Hackett's view, this moment alone secures Crawford's legacy, and he does not need to fight Benavidez or anyone else to validate what he has already accomplished. He stressed that sometimes one fight can tell the entire story of a career, and Crawford's win over Canelo is exactly that.
He jumped over 3 buses. Let's see, 10 buses. I'm saying he trying to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting out there. The fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body, bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175. And, I believe Benavidez has some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was, I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. It's Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. I mean,
I understand that Turkey like to get grand, but there's a boxing aspect. shit too. Like, some stuff gotta make boxing sense.
Yeah.
Bringing down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 10, and then having him fight a dude, jump 3 weight classes, 2 fights, start his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, no.
Yeah, I don't see it. There's no point. There's no point. Like I said, but just go get line of suits. You know what I'm saying, get ready to start talking about this shit.
What kind of suit?
I don't know. I don't know what's the best suits right now.
Showbiz described Terence Crawford's achievement as one of the most remarkable single-fight accomplishments in modern boxing, marveling at how Crawford steadily climbed from welterweight to middleweight and ultimately to 168 pounds, executing his plan with flawless preparation to conquer Canelo Alvarez. He emphasized that this was not a case of stumbling into victory, but a carefully orchestrated rise in which every step led to the ultimate challenge. To Showbiz, the fight felt as if it had been written in stone. Crawford was ready, polished, and sharper than ever. He declared that Crawford has nothing left to prove because this was a fight of fights. For him, the boxing world has already seen enough to close a chapter on Crawford's greatness, as his dominance over Canelo demonstrated every quality that defines a legendary fighter. At this point, he argued, no further challenges are necessary, since Crawford has already shown more than enough to validate his place at the very top of the sport.
Just knew there was no way Terence Bud Crawford saw Canelo Alvarez at 168. Canelo Alvarez was the super middleweight undisputed champion and younger. Terence Crawford was 26 at lightweight. Canelo Alvarez at 26, what was he, a middle? Terence Bud Crawford just grew to 154 at 36 years old. Canelo hasn't been able to make 154 since he was a baby. Terence Bud Crawford jumped up from welterweight to super middleweight to beat one of the greatest fighters of all time, to become 3-time undisputed in 3 different weight classes. Enough said.
Enough said.
It shed light on his victory against Errol Spence. That is for damn sure. Just the way he dominated him. Errol Spence was in there like, what the? If Canelo is saying there wasn't shit I can do in there, Errol Spence had to have been in there like, holy shit. Brings life to his resume. Everybody does it. We kind of knew that Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao avoid Terence Crawford. I can't say Manny Pacquiao avoided Terence Crawford, but Bob Arum definitely did. PBC, welterweight, and the PBC all avoided. I am here to give credit to Terence Crawford for being one of the most tough fighters. So you cannot any longer claim his resume, his greatness, and look at his resume when we all know, genuinely, we have to be genuine, that he is one of the most tough fighters of all time, like Bob Foster, like Black Murderers Row, Charlie Byrne, and Eddie Booker, and all those. Listen, Terence Crawford by himself is Black Murderers Row. Now, do I need Terence Bud Crawford to continue fighting? Hell no. For what? If you beat Terence Crawford now, what do you want him to strip down to 160, lose that muscle mass he has, and be a little bit? We saw that with Roy Jones Jr., but he could do it. He's the everything man. Do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over
Tim Bradley has long championed Terence Crawford greatness, and after this fight, he felt fully vindicated. He reminded fans that he had always called Crawford the baddest man on earth, and the way Crawford dismantled Canelo Alvarez proved him right. Bradley stressed that many doubters believed Crawford was too small to succeed at higher weights, yet he not only competed but dominated with shocking ease. He highlighted how effortless a performance appeared, as if Crawford were sparring rather than facing one of boxing's most dangerous punchers. In Bradley's view, this victory elevates Crawford beyond most champions. even inviting favorable comparisons to Floyd Mayweather. He argued that Crawford has now reached a level where any discussion of the greatest boxer of all time must include his name at the very top. For Bradley, the win was not just about defeating Canelo. It was about redefining what it means to be pound for pound number one and possibly the best fighter the sport has ever seen.
Terence Bud Crawford, baddest man on the planet. Y'all saying, no, he too small, Tim. He too small. Man, that was easy. That was easy. That was more easy than I thought. Terence said he was going to have him crying, and he had him crying when they was walking out. They was crying. Oh, yeah. They were damn crying. They was upset. Head was down. They couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Oh, yeah. Boxing performance. I told y'all this was going to be one of the greatest boxing performances of all times. I told y'all. Y'all didn't believe me. Oh, Tim, over here, you riding Crawford. You riding him like he God. You riding him like he invincible, all this stuff. You don't see that greatness now? You don't see that greatness. Yeah, hey, go ahead and hop on the train. It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it. That's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Luke Thomas described Terence Crawford as nothing short of a boxing genius, reflecting on how Canelo Alvarez, long compared to legends and dominant over countless challengers, was made to look ordinary under Crawford's control. To Thomas, the performance echoed Crawford's earlier career display against Ricky Burns, but on a far larger and more historic scale. Canelo is no simple opponent. He is one of the most accomplished and skilled champions in modern boxing. Yet Crawford dismantled him with precision, anticipating every move, using flawless timing and neutralizing his usual strengths. Thomas emphasized that the true genius lay not just in the victory itself, but in the effortless way Crawford executed his game plan. The fact that he made a fighter of Canelo's caliber look so ordinary, Thomas argued, cements Crawford as one of the greatest tactical minds the sport has ever witnessed.
Wasn't working. Or they were threatened in some kind of way. It was fucking Canelo. Canelo had some good punches in this fight. I thought early on that left hook to the body, which he got away from in the middle parts of the fight, got back to it a little bit at the end. Again, he was catching and shooting was a big part of why that went away. Bud was like, bop, catching him for it. Several times he hit him with that. Canelo had a decent jab at times. That right hand was able to catch Bud cleanly a couple of times. But not really. Bud's face looked normal, fine. You would never have known he went 12 rounds. Remarkable. Remarkable beyond words, man. Remarkable. That is so, I fucking hope and pray that everyone who is I don't know what the casuals are going to say. I really don't. But for the real fight fans, the ones who are probably watching the stream, I hope you appreciate what you just took a look at. Daring to be great. Daring to do what people just say. I mean, people have unified, or I should say, gone undisputed in 3 weight classes before, but it's exceedingly rare. And to go up such a fucking jump. And let's go over one more thing if we can here, just a moment. One of the things that Bud has been trying to argue is that the boxing establishment has overlooked him. He was never their darling. He was never the guy that they picked. He was never the one that they chose ahead of time. And was like, we're going to anoint you as our figure. He was never that guy. That was not him. And beating Spence got him a pretty far away in terms of like changing attitudes. But Canelo was the big one because Canelo was that guy. Now Canelo, of course, earned everything he's gotten too. That's not the point. But like what I'm trying to say is Canelo was the promotional darling. Hello, the face of boxing. You know what I mean? And not just the face of boxing in this country, the face of boxing in another country. Dude, this motherfucker was the face of boxing worldwide, but in particular in North America, right? Um, and something of a promotional darling, and always the A side, and this, that, and the other. And that was not Crawford's journey, man. That was, that was not Crawford's, you know, he was fighting the Ricky Burns of the world. That was not his
Ade
trajectory.
Oladipo took a practical stance when analyzing the aftermath of Crawford's victory, explaining that Crawford has already checked every major box in boxing, from conquering multiple divisions to defeating one of the sport's most celebrated fighters in Canelo Alvarez. Because of this, he does not expect a rematch anytime soon, as Canelo no longer appears to be in a position to step back into the ring against Crawford. Oladipo suggested that Canelo may have reached the end of his road at the elite level, and forcing another fight between the two would not serve the sport well.